Welcome to It's a Grand Life. Did you know that in the United States alone, 2.4 million kids are being raised by their grandparents or other family members other than mom or dad? 2.4 million. It's a Grand Life is a podcast for those grandparents and kinship caregivers who are committed to making a difference for those kids. Grand families are in every neighborhood, every city, tribe, and territory nationwide. If this is you or someone you love, this podcast is for you. Our goal is to offer hope and resources to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us wherever you get your audio podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. Welcome to another episode of It's a Grand Life. Hello, my name is Craig Nash. I'd like to welcome you again to It's a Grand Life. And we've got an outstanding guest with us today. You're going to absolutely be blessed as we talk about empowering kids. Does that sound like something we should talk about here at It's a Grand Life? Absolutely. Because when the kids aren't empowered, bad things happen. And our guest today specializes in empowering kids. Her name is Kimber Bishop-Yanke. She started a not-for-profit for dealing with empowering kids called Kids Empowered on the Move. And her website is info or kidsempowered.com. And you can ask questions at info@kidsempowered.com. But Kimber, welcome back to It's a Grand Life. And tell us, how did you get, I know you have kids, but how did you get involved with this passion of trying to empower folks that are less than there should be, and how is it going?
Yeah, so my business is called Kids Empowered, and the nonprofit is called Kids Empowered on the Move.
Okay.
So Kids Empowered, what happened is about 24 years ago, I moved here from San Francisco with my husband, and I was terrified of moving here to Michigan. I had just launched a business called Inspired By, which was selling products that were made by women artists from all over the world. And it wasn't quite what I had envisioned. I was sitting behind a desk quite a bit and schlepping product to different shows and going to the post office. And so I wasn't loving it. And I taught aerobics on the side to keep, give me some exercise. And one of the moms in one of my classes was telling me about her 6th grade daughter, all the struggles she was having. And I said to the mom that my friends and I in graduate school, we used to talk about, well, what if we could help girls get a healthy self-esteem, and then they wouldn't be so mean to other girls. Because, we saw it in graduate school, we saw it in college, we saw it in high school. And so I was telling the mom this, and she said, please, I'll bring you a group of girls if you do this. And so I asked the health club, I said, could I do a self-esteem camp? And they said yes. And so I just put together what I thought, would help build someone's self-esteem. And she brought me the group of girls. And I found I loved it, and the parents were asking for more. So I just started doing workshops and researching, and I'm a very practical person. So I don't want to talk about self-esteem. I want to find the way we build the self-esteem. And at the time, that's when there was a woman named Rosalind Wiseman, and her book, Queen Bees, Wannabes, came out, and It was all about girls being mean to each other. And so I really started on this quest of trying to figure out, I went to all these conferences, seminars, read a million books, and I just couldn't find the practical ways you do this. So I ended up developing a curriculum myself to teach this information.
And so are you still doing the seminars or the workshops?
Yes. Yep. I'm not doing it as much because of the homelessness stuff I'm involved in. But I also now do coaching one-on-one with kids as well. So my specialty is teaching kids how to stand up for themselves. What do you do when someone is mean to you or you're being bullied? That's my specialty.
Oh, that is, I mean, you could do that 24 hours a day. I mean, that is, you should just come over and sit at our kitchen table sometime. But it was funny. I was talking to my granddaughter this week, and she uh, had a confrontation with her teacher. She did not have a great did not have a great outcome on a reading test they were doing, and she just felt horrible because of the interaction with the teacher. And it was as we're going to conferences this week and going to chat with him, but I could absolutely see where, if you don't have the proper self-esteem as a young lady and going through that, of course, you're talking to a lot of grand families where we're raising kids because our daughters had poor self-esteem, and then that led to behavioral health issues and may have led to substance abuse issues. And if they would have had one of your seminars, maybe that wouldn't have been the case. But there's such a need for this. It makes so much sense. So what are some of the outcomes you see from kids taking your classes and whatnot, or your coaching?
Yeah, I mean, if you would like me to share, like, what are the things that kids need to stand up for themselves?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's like the heart of what people want. So there are four things involved. One is your body language. So body language is how we talk without words, and confident body language is standing tall, our chin is up, we're making direct eye contact, and we call it SpongeBob square shoulders. We like to give kids a visual. So everybody knows SpongeBob. He has lots of problems, but SpongeBob square shoulders. And I tell parents they can help their kids practice this by walking around with a book on their head. It's really good it's just posture. But the thing is that how we carry ourselves matters so much, because not only do we send a message to the rest of the world, I like myself, I feel good about myself, we're actually sending a message to our own brain about how we feel about ourselves. So very important. And what I tell kids is fake it until you make it, because actually walking around confidently, acting confidently will help you gain that confidence, because you start to feel it, you start to believe it. You're training your mind that you are confident. So that's one piece. The second is the voice. The voice cannot be aggressive, sassy, mean, whiny. Like, all of that's like putting gasoline on a fire. Okay. So most kids react emotionally when they're being picked on.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them will act in a whiny or aggressive way. The voice cannot be passive, weak, mumbly, because that tells the other person they have power over you. So you want your voice to be firm, matter of fact, as little emotion as possible. So the message that we want to send is we're not trying to one up the meanie or the bully, although that is super nice and feels good when it happens. But I try to get kids to focus on the goal is to shut this down. We are not playing this game with this person. So we want the person to see us as not interested, not impacted by what they're doing. We want them to see us as too busy to mess with this stuff. So that is a very different tactic than, for years and years, kids were told, walk away, act like you don't care, they'll get bored. No, that's not true, because by walking away, we don't know what message the bully picks up. The
Right.
person walking away could be, thinking they're sending the message, I'm okay with myself, or this hurts my feelings, or I want you to stop. That's no message. So we need to send a very clear message with our confident body language, our voice. The words we pick cannot be mean and they cannot be weak. A lot of kids will say, why don't you like me? Why can't I sit here? Why can't I play with you? You never, ever, ever want to ask anybody why. There's only one scenario where we do a why question, and I'll give you that example in a minute. But a lot of kids will say why, and then the person says, I don't hate you, I only hate 90% of you. It's like opening the door for them to be mean.
Right.
And then the last strategy is moving on. So you don't stand there and let them say more mean things to you. You don't have a conversation with them. A lot of kids will argue about what the person says. So let's say the meanie says, I run faster than you. And then you have the kid on the other end saying, no, you don't. No, you don't. And
Right.
that's like bait. They hook that person right into their trap. So we're not interested. Even if you told me that the blue shirt I have on is ugly because it's red, okay, so that's wrong information. I don't argue with you about the fact that you said it's red.
Right.
I just say, if I like my shirt, I just say, well, I like it, and then I move on. No, nothing else. It's simple, short, and moving on. That's the key. But so many of our kids get hooked, so they argue, so they try to like have a conversation with the person, and that's where they fall into the trap.
That is just really good stuff. Just so the right body language, having the right voice and the proper words, so you're not mean and you're not asking why, and then when the time is right, to move on.
Yes, and it's a package. Okay, so it's like a skill, and this is the hard part, is that what parents need to understand is that when someone is mean to us, so this is the thinking part of our brain, the frontal lobe, where we make decisions. Should I have that cookie now, or should I have that cookie later? This part, down, some people call this the downstairs, some people call this the upstairs. The downstairs is where our amygdala is. So the amygdala is in our brain on each side. That's our survival part. So when kids feel threatened, and this is really important for your grandparents, if they don't know this, to understand this about what's going on. If you have kids that are having tantrums or, overreacting to situations, they're most likely going into what we call fight, flight, or freeze. And it can be any threat to them. So in the old days, when we were, when there were cavemen, it was very simple. The tiger came after the caveman, and his brain said, do I fight this tiger or do I run away? Very simple. But most of us do not have tigers coming after us. But
Right.
our brain still thinks that. We still have the same brain that the cavemen did. So some of us were walking down the hallway at school and nobody's talking to us. So our brain feels there's danger, okay? It's not reasonable, right? But that's not how fear, how anxiety, how these emotions work, right? So our brain feels threatened. And so let's just say somebody maybe makes a rude comment, and instead of being able to not, brush it off, we might overreact and feel like we're getting bullied. We have a lot of kids that are walking around thinking they're bullied, and they're actually not. And that is really important. We do not want kids thinking they're being bullied if they're not, because if you are being bullied, that means you're a victim. And
Right.
we do not want kids walking around being a victim. What we want kids to think is, hey, you said something mean to me, and I'm not okay with it. And I'm going to let you know, and I'm good with myself, and I'm moving on with my life. That's empowered, okay? Being empowered doesn't mean people are not going to say mean things to you.
Right.
What it means is you're not going to take that information and make it part of you. You're not going to keep it. And so let's say that somebody made a true comment about me. Let's say they told me I was, horrible at math, and that's the truth. I am horrible at math, okay? So then in my head, I want to say to myself, okay, yep, I do struggle with math, but I'm really good at reading, or I'm really good with animals, or I'm really good at writing. So I want to recognize, yeah, maybe I'm not good at that, but here's all these other things I'm good at.
Right.
And then I want to let the person know like, you don't need to focus on me. So in that case, like at school, we tell kids, if anybody makes a mean comment about your schoolwork, we tell kids to say, I'll let the teacher worry about that. What are they going to say, right? The kid's going to say, oh no, I have to worry about that, and you are bad at math, right? They have nothing to say. So we're not engaging that person. And most kids will say, none of your business, like none of your business. But the thing is none of your business, we call those fighting words.
Right.
Like
Right.
they're unfriendly. They don't help a situation. They agitate the situation. We're trying to shut down the situation. At recess, let's say somebody says, you can't throw the ball, or you run slow.
Right.
I'm just here for fun.
Oh,
Like,
that's
what are
perfect.
they going to say? Oh, you're doing fun wrong.
You take the whole competitive spirit right out of it.
Yeah, I'm just here for fun. Now, let's just say we're at basketball and we actually have a coach, and some kids like, you're dribbled too slow, or you're supposed to be over here, not over there. I'll let the coach worry about that. And then if they say something that you like about yourself, let's say they make a comment about your glasses.
Right.
Well, I like them, but let's say you don't like them. Focus on yourself. So the key is not to have the conversation. The key is, we call it back pocket responses. Short, to the point, and move on.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we don't have to take 15 minutes here. Let's just one and done. Let's get out of here and just diffuse the whole situation. And what has been some of your best success stories empowering these kids?
So actually, the very first kid that I ever did a coaching session with, I did a training for his sister's school. She was an aftercare worker, and she said, you need to meet with my brother who's blind, almost blind, and his name was Ricky. Ricky would probably be 20-something years old now. And so his parents brought Ricky to me. And we use a lot of stuffed animals, visuals, pictures to help kids learn. And the turtle is the doormat. And that's because the turtle hides in its shell and lets people walk all over it. And Ricky asked me for the turtle stuffed animal at the end of the session. And I told him, I said, if you stick your neck out one time, Ricky, I will give you this stuffed animal. Because the kids were so mean to him. And I will tell you, I went home and cried probably every day for 2 weeks thinking about Ricky. He had nobody to eat lunch with. He would not eat lunch because kids had made fun of him for like getting food on his face. They were so cruel to him. I couldn't handle it. And so 2 weeks later, Ricky comes back in, and when he was leaving, when I said, if you stick your neck out, he was yelling at me. He was a very angry kid, very angry. And he said, I'm not sticking my neck out. They'll just be meaner to me. And I was just like, try it, Ricky, just try it. So 2 weeks later, he came back and he asked me for the dolphin stuffed animal. And the dolphin we use for the empowered kid, because when a shark attacks a dolphin, the dolphins don't all swim away. They circle the shark and they push it away from the dolphin being attacked. So I wanted kids to have a visual. This is how you're an ally. You protect the kid getting picked on, and you try to, move the bully away with your words. And so I asked Ricky, what happened? And he said that his principal had made an announcement, and I'm sure the principal was trying to do the right thing, but he told the kids in the hallway to watch out for, they had a student who was almost blind and he had a walking stick, and the kids needed to watch out for him. Well, Ricky was in 6th grade. So what did an 8th grade boy do? He started coming up to Ricky and putting his fingers in his eyes going, are you the blind kid? Are you the blind kid?
Oh, wow.
And Ricky goes, congratulations. You must be the smartest kid in this school. I am the blind kid. I want you to remove your fingers from my face. And he said the kid dropped his head and mumbled, okay, and walked away. And that day, Ricky found his voice. It still makes me want to cry. And Ricky would meet with me and he would yell at me sometimes. I mean, our sessions were awful because I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach.
Right.
I'm calling it like it is. I'm not letting him get away with talking to me inappropriately, treating me inappropriately, which he had been able to do. His parents have felt so sorry for him that they, would let him do things that were not socially appropriate. And so I said to his mom, because it was miserable meeting with him. I said to his mom, like, what, Ricky's, not happy meeting with me. He's screaming. I'm like, why do you keep bringing him? And she said, because Kimber, she says, for the first time, Ricky is speaking up. He's communicating what he needs. He's managing his emotions. Like, he found his voice that day. Many years later, on my bucket list, which I have never done, I wanted to write a book about some of, the stories.
Yep.
And so I called the mom. It'd been probably 6 or 7, 8 years. And I will be honest with you, I was terrified to call her because I thought Ricky may have committed suicide because of the way people treated him.
Right.
And he was in high school and they had moved to where, to another state so he could go to like a blind and deaf school. And she said, Kimber, the teachers ask him to help the kids who get bullied. He was a leader in helping other kids. So so that's probably my biggest, he made such an impact on me my whole life. Yeah.
That is just a phenomenal story. And thank you so much for sharing that. So for our grandparents that are listening to this podcast, if they want to get their kids empowered, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, and I do have kids that I work with that are even in other countries. I do Zooms, I do phone calls, and then I see kids in person as well. But my email is kimber@kidsempowered.com. And then my number is 248-757-0912. And, for the kids that are in Metro Detroit, we do have summer camps. We do have a spring break camp coming up soon. We do Girl Scout workshops. And if there's ever a group of grandparents that want to try to do something together, I do private workshops. I've been doing this over 24 years. And so we have all kinds of crafts like we do slime camp and we do Lego camp. And I try to do activities to show the kids the lessons I'm teaching them so they have a visual to take home.
That's so good. And you've got to get those flyers to me. I want to put them on our Facebook page and on our website because this is just absolutely great. But Kimber Bishop-Yanke, thank you so much for being our guest again on It's a Grand Life. I hope you'll come back and tell us more stories, more Ricky stories of kids you've been able to help. And we just love the work you're doing with the homeless. And also it's so near and dear to our heart to help kids. And that's what you're doing full time. So we will see you again soon, Lord willing. But thanks so much for being our guest today. Thank you for joining us today for It's a Grand Life. It's a Grand Life provides vital content, regulatory updates, and subject matter experts that are committed to supporting the 2.4 million kids and their caregivers from every neighborhood, every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. As caregivers, we are united in purpose. We are driven by hope while providing strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We are truly making a difference while living the grand life. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, please reach out to us. But we'll see you next time for another It's a Grand Life. Thank you for joining us.